this video I'm trying to help you figure out which Fuji lenses you should buy, in what order and why. When you buy a new camera, you usually offer the choice of 2 zoom lenses. They're often referred to as kit lenses, and to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the term kit lenses because these lenses are absolutely fantastic. They'll give you superb image quality and they're amazing for different use cases. One of them is the 18-55 f2.8 to f4. This lens is almost 9-year-old, and the other one is the 16-80mm f4, which was released in 26th of September 2019, so it's like 2-year-old. So on paper it seems like an easy choice because the 16-80mm lens has a wider focal range. It's wider at 16 and it's tighter at 80mm. It also has a 6-stop image stabilization built into the lens. Meanwhile the 18-55 only has a 4-stop one. It's weather sealed, the other one isn't. But at this point you have to ask the question, are you more of a photographer or are you into filmmaking? Are you planning to be in front of the camera most of the times or behind? And the reason is, if you're into photography, then I would 100% recommend the 16-80mm lens, and there are a number of reasons for that. So first of all, as I mentioned before, it has a longer focal range, it has a better stabilization than the 18-55, and also this is weather resistant, so when you take it outdoors, you don't have to worry about a little bit of rain. The camera is protected and the lens is protected as well. This lens is like 40% more expensive than the 18-55, so when you purchase it with your first camera, you actually get a really good deal. Think about that too. But if you're mostly into filmmaking, that is a completely different story. I am 100% sure that for filming, the 18-55 is actually the better option, and let me tell you why. First of all, it has an f2.8 aperture at 18mm, which gives you a decent amount of separation from your subject and your background, so it's perfect for talking head shots or walking, vlogging style shots. The image stabilization is actually pretty similar to the 16-80mm, so that's not an issue, especially when you have a stabilized camera like the Fuji X-T4. If you try to do vlogging style videos with your 16-80mm lens, however, it's f4, which means pretty much everything is going to be in focus. It's almost like vlogging with a GoPro. It's okay, it's doable, but it's not, it looks digital to me. I never liked that look. Yeah, I never looked back since I had the 18-55 lens. Reason number 2 is low light performance. The 18-55 has a wider aperture at 18mm, so it works better in low light, obviously. It also makes the autofocus function better than the 16-80s. Reason number 3 is the focusing issues on the 16-80mm. When you record something and you're trying to zoom in, that's almost impossible with the 16-80mm lens. However, in the 18-55 lens, it actually works pretty good. You're starting off at 18mm and you zoom in into 55 and you set the focus onto manual focus or even autofocus, to be honest. It stays on the subject and it's very pleasing, and you don't have to speed ramp or you don't have to do anything with the footage to fix it up. And it just doesn't work with the 16-80mm lens. So now that we get our first zoom lens out of the way, let's move on to a budget-friendly third-party prime lens. The bokeh monster Viltrox 23mm f1.4. Many people consider this focal length to be the best for street photography. It's wide enough, but it's not too wide in the same time. So it's like a great all-arounder in general. This is one of the cheapest, super fast autofocusing prime lens available for the Fuji X-Mount system at £260. You can't beat that price. The f1.4 aperture, when it's wide open, by giving up a little bit of sharpness, it obliterates the background and creates a very pleasing bokeh. The reverse engineered autofocus works wonderfully for both videos and photos. The only few negatives that I could find with this lens is number 1, the lack of stabilization. It works really well if you use a camera which has an inbuilt IBIS like the Fujifilm X-T4, but if I use it with an unstabilized camera like the X-T3, then I would normally put it on a tripod or somewhere stationary so it doesn't produce shaky or blurry images. Number 2 is the weather resistance, so when it rains, definitely don't use it outdoors because the water will get in and will destroy your camera and your lens itself. And number 3 is the closest focusing distance. Generally, native Fuji lenses have a lot closer focusing distance. This one doesn't. It's fine with me. That's not what I use the lens for. By the way, all of these headshots you see in this room are recorded on the Viltrox lens. So next, let's talk about getting close to a subject. So the Viltrox can focus super close, but I have a solution for that. In order to introduce a new perspective in our shots, let's move on to another budget lens, the 7 Artisan 60mm f2.8 macro lens. This lens will get you really close. This purchase won't break the bank at £160, but before you purchase, be aware this lens has a very limited use case. So what's this lens for? What do we use it? First of all, the subject separation it can produce is insanity. Check this out. This beauty can be super useful for product photography. Ideally used on a tripod in a controlled environment where you can set a bright lighting source on your subjects for great results. Weather sealing is not a feature of this lens, so just keep it for sunny days outdoors or keep the lens indoors. It actually also works well for portrait shots if you're an experienced manual focus user. Yes, unfortunately this lens has no autofocus. And a wee side note here, being a third-party lens, you have to enable the shooting without lens setting before you can use it. Finally, one of my favorite lenses that will open up a whole new world for you is the Fujinon 70-300mm f4 to f5.6 zoom lens. This is the newest lens in this lineup, first released in early 2021. You can shoot with this in the middle of a 10.5 earthquake. That's how magical its stabilization is. It's some dark magic. Even at 300mm, you're good to go handheld for both photos and videos, and that is insanity. The subject separation this beast can produce is out of this world, making every single shot you take looking amazing. Not to mention the image quality juiced up with Fuji's magic formula. This lens can produce cinema-like shots on the budget. For its long reach, the lens is ultra lightweight at 660 grams. When you're shooting stills, the autofocus is snappy to say the least, but when you're shooting videos, unfortunately, zooming while recording is not an option. It has similar flaws as the 16-80mm lens, but hopefully this will be fixed with a future firmware update. Until then, just pre-drum the shit out of the blurry part. It is water resistant, making it the perfect lens for outdoor shooting, nature photography, or birding. Birding, it's a term. I have to say, this beauty will not disappoint you regardless of what you're going to use it for. If you're new to a Fuji system and you're looking to buy your first lens, I would highly recommend the 18-55 glass for its superb image quality, great autofocus, brilliant stabilization, and budget-friendly price. You simply can't go wrong with it. In my opinion, every Fuji shooter should own an 18-55 lens. Please do me a favor and hit that like button if you like the video, and if you'd like to see more, then consider subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.